who face eternity easily forget what a lifetime means, what an ending means.
You know it doesn't have to be this way.
No, Kunavine, it does. They need me.
Well, welcome to End of Dragons Daily. Today we're on the 8th part, so we're kind of starting our second week of videos here. And I kind of want to change things up. Now, at the end of the last one, I did give you guys a topic, and that was the Jade Sea. There's been a ton of comments about that, lots of enthusiasm, and I will get to that tomorrow. But one of you guys left a bit of a comment chain that kind of made me realize I haven't talked about something that was really interesting to do with the trailer. You know, we've opened every single one of these videos with it, that sort of came out a few months ago now, and I figure, hey, we can do that here on End of Dragons Daily. I don't want this to just be a Q&A show. I'm thinking maybe every now and then we can dedicate an episode to like a special topic of some kind. When news breaks at any point, you know, we can actually discuss it here, just like I did with the original Guild Wars 2 Daily. And hopefully that will keep people's attention, you know, in the long run as we mix it up just a little bit. So footage today comes from EU. I did the Verdant Brink nighttime meta with you guys, some of the spuds. It was pretty fun, and it was weird, to be honest, because it made me realize, you know, I'd finished all my Heart of Thorn stuff before Path of Fire came out, realistically. I haven't really done a full Verdant Brink nighttime since Mounts came in. I mean, I have done the Heart of Thorn stuff, but usually I'll just log in and kill the Patriarch, like essentially leeching almost, or you know, the Wyvern Matriarch in the center, or of course with the other metas I'll do a lot of them, but a full nighttime? I haven't done that for ages, and it's so strange now that the Mounts are there, seeing how fast you can run around and get packed supplies. Like, watch how annoying and long and slow it is for me to escort one NPC versus just getting on a raptor and charging supplies around all over the place. The Mordrum also feel way weaker these days. Is that power creep or what? Anyway, it was pretty interesting, and of course, it's all in service of provisioner tokens for my legendary sigils and unending battle. In fact, I only have 2 left, but hey. Alright, so here's the comment that I want to touch on, which made me scared for a second that I was horrendously out of the loop. Turns out I'm not, but here it came from Zoo Zebras, who says, "Hey WP, I don't know if you're aware of it or have checked it, but the Guild Wars 2 wiki page for End of Dragons has a fair bit of information about End of Dragons already there, including confirmation that the Echoveld Forest and Xingji will be available at the start of End of Dragons, which was revealed to us through the Extra Life livestream. There are also images that can be found with little descriptions of them that could provide extra insight into the story, including one that has an Aetherblade airship, seemingly confirming that the Aetherblades will be playing a part in the story." So, the Aetherblade topic is really one I want to get to. The thing that this comment freaked me out with, though, is I kind of skipped over on my first reading of it, the word wiki in there. And I thought for a second there was some big, you know, press, promotional, upcoming release page that ArenaNet had made for End of Dragons. Do you guys remember a few years ago someone speculated a Deep Sea Dragon-based expansion, and they kind of mimicked what they did with the Heart of Thorns press page, and it was amazing? I was suddenly scared that something like that already existed for End of Dragons, and I just hadn't looked at it. But no, we are talking about the wiki. And again, credits and unending compliments to the wiki community for this game. It's so often when I play something else, I'll look at their wiki and see how much worse in standard it is than the Guild Wars 2 one. The only place that Guild Wars 2 really lacks is, I think some of the lore information that gets put on there is often written dogmatically and though is fact when it's really not, and I think there's a lot of sort of hedging that goes on. But for pages like this, wow, the wiki's incredible. It does basically compile all the little hints we had, and Extra Life was one of those big ones. So here's the story. I never talked about it. Maybe you guys are familiar, but let's run over the facts again. Obviously, the trailer came out, and I did a big speculation discussion. We did several of them. We focused mostly on the dialogue, who this enigmatic character is, what the nature of this conversation's about, and we ended up going into those theories about the spirits of the wild, and we did a lot on that trailer. But what we didn't really look close enough at was the visuals, where during, I believe it was the Extra Life livestream, Ruby Bayer said that there were Easter eggs no one in the community had caught in the trailer. And obviously that spurred people into an excited discussion. And well, very shortly later, people were talking about an icon that appears on one of the airships in the trailer. Hello, I'll play it in the background for you guys. And this actually was, it seemed to be, an icon for the Aetherblades, which then, I think it was Ruby again, actually did confirm that yes, that is an Aetherblade icon. And this presumably is the secret of the trailer. But hold on, let me stop myself there. Not really the secret. If I'm following everything correctly, it was said there were multiple Easter eggs, maybe hidden things, plural, in the trailer. The Aetherblade thing got found. There might still be hidden stuff there. I don't know. It sort of feels like as soon as people found the Aetherblade icon, it seemed like that was the big story and we all moved on. And maybe rightly so. I think the odds that they've hid something else in there is very, very, very minuscule. But then I kind of lack imagination for visual stuff. I don't really dig into or analyze it as much as I could. And hell, I mean, I didn't know or think to look for this Aetherblade icon thing. I wouldn't have imagined it had any significance, and it turned out I was wrong. So you never know. Maybe there is more stuff hidden in the trailer, and I'm wrong to be cynical about that. But so let's talk about the Aetherblade thing, and I kind of want to bring some of you guys in the loop, because really what we're dealing with now is Season 1 stuff. And I know that the Icebrood Saga with the Visions of the Past did drop in a couple of little Season 1 instances, but I don't know whether the devs are still going with that. Maybe they didn't view that update as a success. And of the ones that they added, they never really touched on the most important stuff when it comes to the Aetherblades. The Aetherblades, who now look like they'll have a real role in End of Dragons. I mean, they're in the trailer, for Christ's sake. So the Aetherblades were one of these sort of ad hoc factions that got introduced to the game during Season 1, ostensibly under control of Scarlet Briar. You know, she brought different peoples that you wouldn't expect, like the Dredge and the Flame Legion, together and created new alliances, like the Molten Alliance. And to this day in-game, you can go below the Dermid Priory and you can walk through that holographic barrier and see that cool diagram where she has all these different potential pairings. One of the pairings she did was basically pirates with the Inquest, and born from this, giving the pirates all of this Inquest secrets and technology, was the Aetherblade faction. Their big gimmick, as far as I view it, was they were pirates that were used to sailing on the seas and now had the funding and the technology to sail the skies, and they flew around in their airships. But there's an easy mistake to make with the Aetherblades, and that is to think that because Scarlet kind of created them and had a big part with them, that when Scarlet left the picture, kind of they did too. And you know, specifically with a view to the other two big alliances, the Molten and the Toxic alliances, which did kind of fall out of the story afterwards, it'd be very easy to think, well, yeah, the Aetherblades don't matter anymore. But what you guys need to remember is that as far as the story is as we've seen it, the Aetherblades already existed as a pirate crew before Scarlet was around to give them Inquest technology. I don't think we really have a name for what they were before. I doubt they were called the Aetherblades before. Maybe they were. But the fact they already existed means that they probably had their own ambitions and their own ideas that we aren't privy to. You know, with all those other alliances, we already knew about the Flame Legion. We already knew about what the Dredge in general were up to. We already knew what the Inquest in general were up to, and the Crate, and so on, the Nightmare Court. But then you've just got, like, pirates, and it's just like this big blank slate. And I guess ArenaNet could have left it there and could keep it boring, but I like to think that maybe these guys do want to continue acting and have got their own ideas. And so in particular they had a leader as well, who presumably has her own ambitions. That's Captain Mai Trin. Now Mai Trin is interesting because she was actually a fairly prominent character through Season 1, that then when the Scarlet stuff kind of ended and the attack on Lion's Arch was all over, Mai Trin was gone and she's not reappeared since. Like, Mai Trin was kind of a big it's like saying Ellen Keel has not appeared again for years and years and years and years. She's still out there, she's still doing things in theory, and now it's exciting to wonder if End of Dragons will give us those answers. Now, they never, as far as I remember or can see from a brief glance at the wiki, they never actually confirmed that Mai Trin is Canthan. I think Marjorie was introduced to the story around the same time. Both of these women are like ethnically East Asian, and Marjorie was confirmed to be of Canthan descent or have Canthan ancestry. Mai Trin wasn't necessarily confirmed, but it kind of feels like she could be. And particularly with her name, I think Mai, I'm pretty sure I read this on the wiki at some point, is like a Japanese name. I think I was reading about this back when the most recent Fractal came out and we were looking at all that stuff on how they name one another. So it's very likely that she is Canthan, and then therefore it makes a lot of sense to have her do something in End of Dragons. Some other cool stuff about the Aetherblades that I think people often forget is they're kind of almost like planeswalkers at this point. They're like interdimensional travelers almost, because for a period during Season 1 they were actually operating in the mist. And in fact, if you go to the edge of the mist map, this was right around when that update came in the very center, and what's that big achievement, an achievement I still have yet to do for what it's worth, is to kill tons and tons and tons of Aetherblades that clearly had something on, some mission out there that perhaps Scarlet had set them to. We actually get a little bit of a hint about this as well right towards the end of Mai Trin's story, which is completely left hanging, and therefore all the Aetherblades is kind of left hanging. With the attack on Lion's Arch, Mai was actually captured and in jail, but a bunch of Aetherblades come in. This is off screen, you don't actually get to see this, you just see the fallout of it. They break her out of her prison cell. I remember so clearly where it was once upon a time in Fort Mariner. And then they're gone. And Mytrin is not actually there for those big attacks right towards the end. You'd think that maybe she'd be some kind of crony on the Breachmaker that we get to kill just before dealing with Scarlet or something. But the devs chose not to follow that. They let Mytrin and some amount of Aether Blades escape to continue their story later. And you'll actually see that Scarlet told them to go back to the Mists. And the question is, why were they there, and what was the point of all of that? For what it's worth, this isn't just raw speculation I'm giving you here. The game itself actually kind of touched on these questions all those years ago. Now, there's no way, I think, anyone listening to this video or anyone that played the game can remember word for word exactly what this conversation went like. But the information is out there. So here's the conversation of what happened right when Mytrin got busted out. We meet with a sheriff in Lion's Arch, Sheriff Sirium, who says, a group of Scarlet Briar's Aetherblade flunkies stormed my cells to free their captain, Mytrin, and together they escaped into the mists. Oh, so they do blatantly confirm they'd been out in the mists. And our character, the commander, says, because the mists are beyond Lion Guard jurisdiction, ? To which the sheriff says, that's right, though it's possible her boss Scarlet has new plans for Mai and her crew there. As if attacking Dragon Bash and assassinating one of our captain's council wasn't enough, ... It all happened so fast. Scarlet's minions were everywhere. They had our backs to the wall from the very beginning. One of them broadcast Scarlet's voice and she said, vacation's over, Mai. I have work for you in the mists. The invaders took Mai to a portal outside. They had to fight past a squad of Lion Guard to get there and 2 strangers. And then Bram chimes in and says, remind me to wring Mytrin's neck for escaping. If she hadn't, Timey would have never given me the slip. I can't even really remember the small story beat that Bram is referencing there. That idea of 2 strangers as well might have been just characters that were around in the area. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so pretty explicit idea here that Mai has gone off to do something in the mists for Scarlet. And this kind of leads us back to Scarlet. If you replay some of that old Season 1 stuff, I know there are some boosters of this theory out there that maybe Scarlet saw further than the plot of Heart of Thorns when she entered the All and she kind of had all these visions and this understanding of Tyria. Maybe Scarlet was playing some really, really long game to try and figure out what was going on and how to save Tyria or do something for Tyria. Maybe she is a hero in the end, and therefore the last of Scarlet's plans that may still be in action right now and has been in action in the background for these past 2 expansions would be whatever she tasked the Aether Blades with in the mists. Either that, or as I say before, they're pirates and they decided not to do what Scarlet wanted at all, but they are benefiting out of being in the mists. And then there comes to this final thing, you know, why End of Dragons and why Cantha? Because the truth is, the only connection we really have to that area of the world is Mytrin's, like, perceived ethnicity and name. And that's it. So, what, Mytrin leaves from a vacation in the mist to go see her old granddad and grandmum, and we happen to be there at the time, and oh, look, there they go, the Aether Blades are there? I think there must be something deeper that ArenaNet wants to do, especially if they actually put it in the trailer. So, yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing, and again, I don't think I talked about this on the channel whatsoever. I figured I'd dedicate an episode of End of Dragons Daily. What do you guys think of the Aether Blade stuff? I do obviously still have the Jade Sea topic on the table, and we will be looking at that, but, you know, we can mix things up, and any kind of interesting thoughts or theories you guys have, I'd be happy to platform them and we'll see what's going on. Do you think that Scarlet really was playing some long game, some kind of Glint's Legacy style thing where she really had all this other stuff set up, and Mytrin will be the one that actually, you know, finds a way out of the cycle? That'd be pretty cool. And just in general, I have to say again, I really like the Aether Blades, and I like the idea that finally they'll come back to the story. I remember so often looking at the Zephyrite and wondering if the Aether Blades would return in so many patches, and it feels like an End of Dragons finally will be there. So there you have it, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for the cool comment as well that led me off on that little tangent, a cool idea for a topic today. I'll see you guys for another one tomorrow. Please, if you're enjoying the series, do continue to share it. Tell other people about it. Right now, this is really the main thing I'm doing with Guild Wars, so I'm really just hoping to give it some good legs. You'll probably see Empire Divide and stuff come back later as well. Cheers, guys. See you next time.